Today we sit down with a returning guest, Mia Mazal. Mia takes us behind the scenes of the inception of Talento, born from a pivotal moment following the founder's split at SWorks. Mia unveils how Talento absorbed the vast majority of SWorks operations, transitioning 85% of their customer base and dedicated employees, allowing them to hit the ground running while preserving their company culture and unwavering service quality. We delve into Talento's evolution, exploring how they're now weaving cutting-edge business intelligence and AI solutions directly into the fabric of their logistics and supply chain offerings. Mia details the holistic, ecosystem-based approach, revealing how they empower clients to optimize operations through a powerful blend of automation, intelligent AI tools, and bespoke solutions. Prepare for a fresh perspective as Mia tackles common misconceptions about AI, particularly the fear of job displacement, and illuminates its potential to actually elevate employee roles by freeing them up for more impactful customer engagement. We'll also discuss the complexities of scaling a business in today's tech-driven landscape, the role of emotional salary in creating employee loyalty, and Mia's inspiring personal growth as she steps into her co-founder role. This episode is filled with insights on navigating change, cultivating a thriving workplace, and finding balance in the entrepreneurial whirlwind. As always, if you found value from this content, please like and subscribe. All right, Mia Mazal, welcome back to Beyond Fulfillment.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be back for round two.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're excited to have you.
Thank you.
Okay. So last time we were talking all about SWorks, and you were one of the key people in growing that business from its startup phase to what it evolved into. And now here we are. You are the co-founder of Talento. And sure enough, Talento has a heavy integration with SWorks, and some people sure are wondering what happened. So please tell us how this all evolved into
Yeah,
Talento.
I'm sure a lot of people are curious and maybe have heard different things, but Talento is a new company, is a new entity that really resulted out of the passing of SWorks, the disappearance of SWorks. So, long story short, we had two founders and they just didn't find that middle ground to be able to trust each other and move forward from there anymore. So what they decided that was best to do at that point was to split apart. And in that split, there was an opportunity to still be able to help out our customers, and our existing employees. So, I kind of use the power of relationships, and the power of, building that network and that service, and built, Talento, decided to start on this kind of new endeavor, and bring over the majority of SWorks operations, thankfully, because again, based off that network or that relationship, they saw that the same service, the same quality, the same everything was going to remain. So we were able to absorb the office space, the equipment, again, about 85% of the customer base and the employees, and just kind of transition over from one day to the next. So it's been kind of crazy, and it's kind of a marketing change in some fashion, but at the same time, Talento is a brand new entity, just functioning less as not as much of a startup as most startups would, because we do have over 70 employees, sitting in our office. But yeah, it's a little bit of a whirlwind, but that's, kind of the birth of Talento today.
Winning deals is as simple as the sales tools that you use. Pipedrive's easy and effective CRM lets you track your sales pipeline, manage deals, and automate the whole process so you can focus on one thing: selling. Join over 100,000 users worldwide driving business growth with Pipedrive. Customize your pipeline to match your unique sales process, sharpen your strategy with real-time performance insights, and centralize data from over 500 sales tools that you know and love. Make smarter, faster decisions with Pipedrive's AI sales assistant and win up to 3 times more deals with smart automations. Getting started takes minutes. Try Pipedrive today for free and unlock real results from day one. Okay. All right. So like you said, it is technically a new entity, but far from a startup with all those employees and and so much existing business that you've developed over the years. And Talento also has a brand new twist to it that incorporates business intelligence and AI.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So we have all been hearing the buzzwords, right? AI, BI, what's going on, automation. And so we recognize that that's something that's coming into the game and it's here to stay, and it can be used to help our processes and help our people focus on what really matters, right? The customer facing processes or those things that generate revenue. So what we've been able to do in this transition as well is really focus in on providing and having a partnership to be able to offer AI and business intelligence solutions. So the idea is looking at a problem holistically and not just solving an issue with labor, but maybe it's a combination of a change of a process or adding in a new API or a new technology. So really being able to, again, look at it holistically, almost like an ecosystem, and be able to help our customers in many of those aspects. So that's something that a lot of players in the game are already doing. So being able to have it as like a one-stop shop or all under a one umbrella and have some pre-made products, but also some more personalized, tailored to you. That's kind of the idea of the new partnership we have with our new team.
Okay. And so you're still very heavily focused on the logistics industry,
Yeah.
freight brokerages, that aspect. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that in SWorks we had a focus on the logistics industry and we also had been tapping into some others. But I'm a firm believer, I said it on a podcast with Jolly, I think he even said it best, that you can't be good at everything. You should be really good at one thing. And so that's why we've been really focused in on logistics and supply chain. So within that, still working a lot with brokers, but also being able to work with some tech companies like TMSs or with some carriers or even freight forwarders. So all under that same umbrella and again, that ecosystem effect. But yeah, still working with brokers primarily.
Okay. All right. And so, like you said, there's a holistic approach to where you meet with people and then you provide them with the appropriate solution. So with so many so much rapid change, specifically around AI, and now really the rise of, agentic AI, as they call it, with all the agents and all those programs. I mean, what's the biggest, surprise you're seeing in terms of all this being implemented out into the market?
Yeah. I think that the biggest surprise is seeing how fast some of these can turn around as well, where we'll have, those kind of AI for communication and language processing, which can be like a chatbot on your website. And we've had that for a long time. But to the extent that they've modified that, and then in a couple of weeks now they've turned that into voice AI and being able not to just de-escalate situations, but also negotiate situations. That to me is also just been very mind blowing. But I also think that sometimes the word AI is so large that people get confused in what that could actually look like because it can be something super, super simple like let's say that you have an email for your accounting team and you're receiving emails for billings, for collections, for AP, for AR, all within one email, and you want to organize that. Something like an API can come in and look at that, process all that, and sort the emails out to the right place. Where that's a process that maybe today is taking you an hour per person to sift through and find the right emails, but now it can take you literally 5 seconds. You won't even think about it, and you have the right email in your inbox. So that's a very different level. It's almost like an unseen level versus, again, a voice agent where you're literally speaking to this robot, and it's kind of, I think it can be confusing for people, the implementers to really capture what AI is just because of the spectrum that it has.
Yeah, and that's a great point too. And so many people, right, are apprehensive about AI. You hear that the camp that says, oh, it's just going to take people's jobs and that type of thing. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about implementing AI within their operation?
I think it's that it replaces people is exactly the myth to bust. I know that augment is also another buzz term that's going around, but if you think about it, your AI, your tech, your tools is taking over these processes that are typically manual and repetitive. And now they're going to automate those processes. So the person that you have in a chair, Dave, now can actually go and spend more time with his customers because he doesn't have to spend as much time cleaning his inbox or sending a follow-up or answering an inquiry from somebody that really was trying to look for McDonald's but actually ended up somehow in your inbox. You know what I mean? So it's those little things that are now going to take time and delegate tasks off my plate. But instead of delegating them off into another human, I'm delegating it to a tech tool or technology. So I think it's a huge cost saver. And I think that it also helps make people's jobs easier, makes them more happy in their job as well. You know, if your job's a little bit easier, you're not doing those manual, repetitive, monotonous, boring tasks, then you might be a little bit happier engaging, with actual humans or doing things that play a bigger role into the impact of the company. So I think that it's going to be a win-win for the business and for the workers, the employees, when you use technology the right way.
Yeah, yeah, 100% agree. Okay, so now that you've semi-pivoted, you're still doing the nearshoring thing, but you've introduced this AI and this business intelligent component. You're clearly competing with a lot of other solutions as well. Given how quick the market's
Yeah.
evolved and so many people are coming out with this type of stuff. Like what's the hardest part about, scaling this company in today's climate?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of challenges in nearshoring as a whole and just talent management. We have a bunch of competitors, and then our competitors even start to compete against themselves with, building out another company or another segment that has AI and technology because they know that talent management to some extent is going to take a hit, and that's just the reality of it. But for me, I think one of the problems, and you kind of alluded to it, is keeping up with how fast the technology is ramping up. We don't have a team of 100 developers, which would be incredible. And maybe my neighbor does, but I don't have that. So one of the differences that we try to do is not be the first to do it and not be the fastest to do it, but look at how everybody else does well and how everybody else may not do so well and learn from them so then I can consult my customer base and then either do it myself or guide them to the right person, right? Because if I'm not going to be the one who's going to be the expert or the best one to do it, then I would rather be honest and say, hey, I'm not going to be the one than tell you, hey, I'm going to do this for you. And then it's going to take me 3 years to actually build out a product that in 3 years from now is going to have a 50 other, multiple versions and generations of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And right, everyone has to be honest about their own capabilities and where they fit in the market, and then obviously be true to that for
Yeah.
sure. And then how is given the way the market's changed, the introduction of AI and the labor market, how that's evolved, I mean, how is your definition of success, entrepreneurial success, evolved from the early days of SWorks?
I think it's changed a lot. I think that even just kind of my role as, today being a co-founder and before, really I had come on as chief of staff. And so I, keep kind of saying to myself, I was working and doing everything that I was doing today, but doing it for somebody else. And now today and day I'm doing it for myself. So a little bit of the drive and a little bit of the aspiration or the value that I get from it is different. So success in that sense might mean a little bit different to me personally. I get a lot of value in seeing that my customers are happy and that they're able to afford our solution and able to continue surviving and thriving while our employees are also getting paid well and building not a physical financial salary, but also an emotional salary and a community and a culture of retention. So that to me is the value in the little wins versus maybe in the past, it would be bringing on a new customer or a new client. That's obviously still crucial to the success of, entrepreneurship in a business, but I'm still starting to see, that return in different ways because, I'm sure that you understand. We have little to no time to ourselves, as the world is so fast. And if you're all day into work and you're never taking time to smell the flowers, then that's really important to do. So, and I'm all about my flowers.
Yes, yes. We'll get into that for sure. I do want to, you mentioned there the emotional salary, and I love that term. And one of the things, of course, SWorks was known for was the company culture and how, the camaraderie, and you guys were always posting on social media. and that type of thing. So with Talento, being that you've retained most of the staff, I mean, I guess just expand on how important that emotional salary is, given the way that the market has evolved.
Yeah, no, I think it's literally everything. And I kind of mentioned in the beginning, we were able to bring a lot of customers from the relationships we have, but same with the employees. If it wasn't the customer saying, Mia, what's going on? How can I continue to work with you and your team? It was the employee calling myself and either dropping my name or dropping somebody else's name that was still on the Talento team. So, again, it wasn't that we were forced one way or another. Organically, people had a relationship with one side or another, and that trust, that confidence, that rapport was what was able to help us continue to build Talento and start really on this ground of a strong employee foundation. And so we've been able to kind of absorb some of SWorks culture in that sense and be able to make sure that we build a community of retention, but also just letting them know that they're safe. The reality is that when these things were going on with SWorks, everyone was scared. Like, am I going to have a job tomorrow? Is it my customer, going to be around tomorrow? Is SWorks going to exist? What's going on? So for us to be able to say, no matter what's going on, we have your back. And they trusted us and we acted accordingly. Our words went with our actions. And so now they feel that trust and we've been able to continue blossoming with them. So I actually think that although the change in SWorks was never expected, and I would never ask for that. It was something that I think opened up a new opportunity for us to continue to strengthen the culture and really put it to the test. We told you guys that you can trust us and you can trust us. And now they do, and they continue to, and we've been able to continue growing from there.
Yeah, as the saying goes, when one door closes, another opens.
Exactly. That's how it
Um, So you mentioned earlier take being able to smell the flowers, and you just used the word blossoming.
is.
So if people don't know, you're an avid gardener, and that's a passion of yours. And speaking of doing other things and taking your mind off work, can you just talk about, I guess your gardening and what that does
Yeah.
for you?
For sure. I love my plants. That to me is my like little break. It's sometimes, I mean, you have to take care of plants and it's not easy. And I travel too much to have any pets. So my plants are almost like my children. And right now I have a couple with a gnat infestation. So a couple are in like what I call isolation or like a little treatment center. So I don't know. I spend a lot of time taking care of my plants because I think that giving to them gives to me as well. And they show me happiness. They show me when they're thirsty. They show me when they're dry. They show me when they like the sun and when they don't. And so it's again those little things, the smelling the flowers. It's those little moments in life, showing that little appreciation of the gratitude that I think helps me just value life and value everything that I do and all the work that I put in. That's that little reward of just smelling the flowers.
Okay. All right. And so as you mentioned, you evolved, from chief of staff basically at SWorks to now you're a co-founder. I mean, what's been the biggest difference, I mean, in this new role that maybe you didn't expect?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of changes, but one of the big ones was just the team dynamic and understanding, what is my day-to-day role and how do I work with everybody else. I'm a person that tries to always make myself available. And for example, if I go to the office in Colombia, I like to make sure that I speak to every single person. And it's not like a hi, how are you? It's like a genuine, like, how is your grandmother's mother's cousin's dog's uncle doing? Like it's a genuine conversation and I really know my people. And I hope that they feel that as well. So for me, I think that that's been a big problem because I only have so much time and I can't buy more time. So, even though I want to give everybody every second of my day, I physically, in no realm can I make that actually happen while also sustaining a business because I need to prioritize my time and my time, what sustains the business. Building in revenue, right? Generation and making sure my customers are happy. My customers are my actual customers and my employees. So, I have to divide my time accordingly between those things. And as a people pleaser and as a person who likes to talk and never stops, it can be hard to do that. So that's been a little bit of I guess, a learning lesson and kind of a balance to learn. But knock on wood, I think it's going in the right direction.
Okay. And speaking of that, right? Because even prior, I think we talked on last time you're on the show, your travel schedule was just insane. It's something like 18 events or more
Yeah.
per year. And I'm sure, right, there's a lot of the same stuff in terms of traveling, going to Colombia, doing all the lead generation type activities. What how do you manage your time so you're not only productive with what the business needs but you also, maintain your sanity?
Yeah, great question. Well, sometimes I lose my sanity, to be honest. But in the majority of the times, I do what I call like almost like a brain break or like you have to take care of everybody else. You also need to take care of yourself. So if it's just 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to myself, whether it's watering my plants, something as simple as that, or like going to the hair salon and go get a haircut, or sitting outside and just soaking up the sun, anything like that kind of helps me restart because even though I spent, 13 hours in that day doing work and doing things that maybe I wouldn't have chosen to do, now that I have 30 minutes of free time, I have this time to do exactly anything I want, whether it's watch a movie, do nothing, do everything, whatever. And that really helps me kind of restart. The tricky part is maintaining that, especially when you go and travel to events or things of that nature. But it's being able to communicate to others and say, hey, look, I need 30 minutes to myself. I'm going to go step away and grab a coffee or go step away and go for a walk, take a brain break, anything along those lines. That helps me a lot. And especially with the sun, since I live in Florida, thank goodness, I'm able to go outside a lot. So going through a simple 15-minute walk can just change everything.
100%, 100%. Okay. And given that you've had such dramatic change within your professional life over the last several months, and now you're in this new position, you're a co-founder, you've got a growing company with some new service offerings. What's the best part about this whole transition for you?
That's a great question. I think for me, it's the learning. I love learning and I love experimenting, and I love that every day is kind of like an unexpected, and I don't know what tomorrow brings or what I'm going to need to do tomorrow because there might be this problem or this, good opportunity. You never know if it's a positive or a negative, but that kind of like uncertainty keeps you on your toes. There's potential for exponential growth. You never know when it can hit. That like is invigorating for me, and being able to see it. And again, to what I had talked about before, now that I have kind of a different role, I'm able to see the actual margins, right? Of what am I paying my people and what am I charging my customers, and being able to say, this is something that I respect and I agree with. I feel comfortable with charging this and I feel comfortable with paying this versus before, maybe I didn't have that visibility, and now that I have the visibility, didn't agree with all those things. So being able to really feel good about what I'm actually doing and see that what I'm saying is actually what's being lived, again, that transparency piece of the words and the actions align. I think that that's just very fulfilling for me. So that's been one of my favorite parts in the new role.
Okay. All right. And Mia, if people want to learn more about Talento, what you offer, and how it can potentially help them, what's the best way that people can reach out to you?
Yeah, so find me on LinkedIn at Mia Mazal or at Talento's page or at talento-io.com. That's our website. Or you'll just Google us. Google my name and you'll find us somewhere, or through Dave's podcast.
Okay. Outstanding. And we'll link all that in the show notes for everyone. All right. Well, Mia, thank you so much for stopping by again, updating us on all these exciting changes, and best of luck in this new role and your journey that lies ahead.
Well, thanks for having me on, and thanks for all the best luck wishes. Appreciate it.
All right. And that is all the time we have for now. We will see you next time.